What is going on, Nuggets Nation, NBA fans? My name is Thomas Leuthner. Welcome back into Nuggets Today. Obviously, we have some topics to cover for you today. The first topic is that Denver is welcoming aboard a new assistant coach, and like I've covered last episode, we already know that's JJ Barea. But there are new talks about an assistant coach coming onto the squad, and that assistant coach is Jared Dudley, somebody I've covered a little bit before, and somebody I would love in the organization right now, and that is to help develop the likes of obviously Payne Watson, guys like Zeke Naji if he's staying on the team, guys who are catch and shoot guys who can actually help Denver in this next offseason. Like I've said, there are not many players right now who will help Denver who will help Denver push that next role realistically when it comes to people on the roster. And like I said, Jared Dudley can help those guys like Payne Watson, Julian Strother help with that catch and shoot release. Guys like that. Jared Dudley is a guy who is on a roster that was a competitive roster when you look back at it. He was on a Lakers championship team, won the championship, has a championship ring when it comes to that kind of sense. And he was also a guy who was on the Lob City Clippers. Now, if you don't know much about the Lob City Clippers, I would go ahead and do your research. This is a guy who played minutes on a team with guys like Jamal Crawford, Chris Paul, Matt Barnes, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, Jamal Crawford, guys who were legitimate players when it came to the mid 2000s NBA. These were guys who were a part of the quote unquote one of the best teams ever put together when it came to the NBA. These guys were amazing to watch. Jared Dudley was a backup player in that squad, a guy who came in at the small forward, power forward position and was able to shoot the ball, sort of play a backup guard, power forward role. He was a great player. Now, I think that he could help, like I said, he could help guys like Payne Watson develop. He could help guys like Christian Brown develop. I think he would be a great backup guard coach when it came to the Denver organization. I love the addition of JJ Barea, and I think that somebody like Jared Dudley would do nothing but help advance that role even more when it comes to the situation that Denver is currently in. Now, there's more topics I want to cover, like I said, and that first person is somebody that I want to cover that we've sort of covered before, and that is a new position that Denver is in, and that is signing to a two-way Tamar Bates, who I think is a great option. Now, Bates is officially signed to that two-way. I've covered him before. I think he could be a very, very good two-way player. He is 6'5". You look at his last year at Missouri, he 13 points per game. Now you look at the assists, 1 assist per game. All right. 2.6 rebounds per game, but you also look at his shooting percentages, and they weren't terrible for a guy who was 6'5". You look at his 3-point percentage, now college three, shooting 39%. You look at his field goal percentage as a guy in college, which is so much tougher, and that field goal percentage is right around 50%, so a little bit over 50%. Now, we've covered him way beforehand, and I think that he is a perfect fit. I actually would love minutes for him over a guy like Jalen Pickett, realistically, because I think that he may be a little bit better. Now, I know Jalen Pickett's been on the roster. This is some guys that everybody would love, like everybody wants him to play. But I don't think he's good enough to get minutes, and I know it's controversial to say that because people love him. But like I said, I am not a fan of Jalen Pickett. I would love for Tamar Bates, who is officially signed to the two-way contract, to come up and get those kinds of minutes when Denver really needs him. Anyway, let's move on to the next player. We have one more guy to cover before I get to my own kind of picks. And that next guy to cover is a guy who is Kai Jones. Now, I know this is a little controversial to say. We've said it here and there in the entire offseason. And I know there's somebody who agrees with me right now. And they're, obviously, it's weird to say it, but I would love Jokic at the 4, Kai Jones at the 5 to play that kind of role that Denver would love realistically, and that be a backup 5 role with Jokic at the 4, where Jokic is sort of diming right now, and I don't know. I feel a certain kind of way about it. I know that Kai Jones can't shoot for the life of him, and we've sort of covered that in the past. And there's not much to say on that, but Kai Jones is a super athletic 5 if you think about it. And Jokic can sort of work with that. Jokic could be a 4 realistically. You could work on that role of being able to shoot from the 3-point line. And Kai Jones sort of cutting from there, grabbing the rebounds, dishing out to Jokic. I would love a fast-paced game with Jokic at the 4, Kai at the 5, where Kai grabs the board, throws it to Jokic. Jokic throws down the court to whoever's running our 1 at that point. And that's how the game goes. But at the same time, if David Adelman is looking at a staff of a slower-paced team, then maybe don't look at that kind of option. But I do think that it fits with Jokic's game plan and who he is as a player, and that is, Kai Jones playing the 5, Jokic playing the 4. So let's see what really happens when it comes to Denver's offseason. Like I said, I would just love Kai Jones strictly at the 5 on the bench, and Jokic playing the 4 realistically on the bench. And that is all. That's all I got to say about it. There are some people in the group chat, obviously I've covered before, who feel a certain way about Kai Jones, and that is Stitch. Stitch is one guy who I've covered in the past, and him and I have talked, both of us have said that Kai Jones would be a perfect 5 for Denver realistically, but we get into this last role, and that is somebody who may be a semi-unrealistic, but I still want to cover it. Denver still has a lot of money to offer. Now, Al Horford is somebody on the table at the moment. There are certain people who are on the table, and I think that Ben Simmons is one of them, but Denver could still offer a contract to a guy like Al Horford, and why not offer it to Horford, who's a playoff experience big, who won a finals. This is a guy now. I think Denver is pushing for the championship, obviously this year, and we've sort of seen that with Tim Hardaway Jr.'s addition, with Jonas Valanciunas' addition. I think I said that right for the first time. The addition of those kinds of guys, and I think that Denver will look for this kind of addition for the first time and actually compete for a final. So we will really see what they try to do. But I think that the additions are in line for them to finally compete for their first finals in 3 or 4 years now. So let's see what Denver really does. That's all I got for you guys today. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I will catch you guys next episode, and thank you guys for checking it out. Peace.